All right, well, my 12-volt battery in my Tesla has gone bad. I've got the warning on the dash telling me it needs to be replaced soon. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to replace it. I had another video where I showed you how to source it, and it was 10 to 14 days for Tesla to get to it at the service center, so I'm going to do this myself. So Tesla sold me the battery, and I have that, but they couldn't get to the labor part, for 10 to 14 days. So we need to go here to... So go over here to security, safety security, and hit power off. I actually want to get out of the driver's seat first. I don't want the power back on. We got to turn off these 12-volt systems first. There we go. Power off. I'm also going to leave the key right here on the driver's seat because I don't want the car to turn on and off as I walk away and come back to it. All right, I just popped open the front from the app, and I gotta clean this mess out of here. First thing, clean this mess out. All right, I've got everything out, and always keep this in the car, by the way. This screws into your front bumper if anyone ever needs to yank you out of a tight spot. So there's my cable in there. Just keep it in there, and then everything here comes out. Everything comes out. This pops off. This weather stripping comes off, and I have another video on this, by the way, about removing your HEPA air filter. This comes off, and then you can pull the liner out too after you get this out. Before you pull the liner, take these lights out. They're wired in, you gotta take them out. And you push them this way, and you feed them through this way. And as you can see, the 12 volt's still on. I gotta return that off. I want to double check the 12 volt system off when I'm ready to change the batteries out. Battery, not batteries. The whole thing pops out. Oops, all those lights, including my mat. You got a whole bunch of, I think 10 millimeter bolts. 10 millimeter, yeah, that's what you got. Get them out with this and a ratchet. Get to work. Lots of work to do taking all these off. That's all you gotta do, take them off. Okay, got all of them out. Now this whole thing pops out. Oh, almost forgot the trim pieces. They pop out too. First. And they just have clips behind them. Do it gently. Now this comes out. Yeah, see? Pretty easy. Oh, it's kind of bulky though. I'm gonna have to put the camera down. Get the idea. Just make sure you stuff these lights in here, okay? All the way in so you don't shear them off when you pull the thing out. Now that it's out, this exposes the HEPA filter. We did a video on that too, and this thing just pulls right out too. I think it's just kind of in there with some tension with the dirt. Pull that out, and there's your battery. So this battery is pretty straightforward and simple. Let me walk you through it before we do anything. All right, you've got your negative terminal and your positive terminal. Never let those touch. You got to go in and turn off the 12 volt again. Then you've got a battery hold down. See this thing right here. I'm gonna lift it up. You got to be able to see this. It's holding down a. Oh, I got to pull that up somehow. It's on a nut. See that nut? It holds down this plate, and this plate presses down on the battery pack. Holds it in this metal holder. So you got to get that off. Once you get all of this stuff off and keep these separated, make sure everything's off on the 12 volt. This tube comes off the battery. See that tube? It has to go back on when you put the new battery on. Make sure your new battery has that. And then there are 2 bolts. Yeah, right here. See, here's one right there. One, and then the other one right here. I think they're 13 millimeters. You got to get in there and you got to lift those off, because if you don't, then you won't be able to pivot this case. And if you can't pivot the case, when you go to lift the battery up, what happens is it strikes this plate up here and you won't get the battery out. So you've got to take those off so you can pivot the case, get the battery out. It's kind of a plug and play. It's not that difficult, right? But just be really careful. Let's go turn off that electricity again. Oh, it might have gone on because I had the door open. Let's shut that thing down. Hopefully I won't hit anything. All my front stuff is in there. All right, and then go to security again, and then turn off the power. Turn off the power. There we go. Okay, we're gonna start on the negative terminal. I'm noticing right away that it's really, really hard to get a socket back in here. So I'm just gonna have to probably get it with a wrench. We started off like that. If I had an exact 10mm wrench, that's what it is, I would use that first. All right, and with this vice grip pliers, that thing turns easy enough. Just be careful not to chew it all up with the pliers. I already turned it once. I'm gonna keep going with it, and then get it by hand. And you can see, yeah, I got it going pretty easy now. Just don't take it all the way off, and then you gotta take this off. You might need a screwdriver to lift up on the bottom, or some other type of tool to lift it up. You just got to get it moving a bit. So you got a pair of needle nose. I'm just trying to. Oh, almost pinched my finger on that. Got to get it moving a little bit. I'm doing this for the first time ever. I can get it moving a little bit. I gotta get it so it comes off. Alright, while I'm working on that, I have to wedge something underneath here. I wedge my needle nose pliers underneath, pop this up, this red cover off here. You need to do that in order to get to this one right here. Your other 10mm, which is easy enough to get to. Why is this one so easy? Why isn't the other one so easy? Alright, I finally got the trick, and here it is. I just got this pliers around here, you see? Loosened it enough and then lifted. There we go. Lift it straight off and keep it off. You got to keep this thing off of the battery. Alright, let's also work on this thing on the back that holds the plate down, that holds the battery down on the back of the battery. See that? Let's get that thing out of there. Alright, I just have to pull straight up. See that? Straight up. Pull it up, and then there, it's free. I can get that nut off. Alright, now keep in mind that this little nut is going to require a deep socket. The regular socket wasn't working. You have to get a deep socket in there. And it's hard, even with a deep socket, it's hard to do it, but you cannot do it with a regular socket. There's too much of the bolt on there. Bolt's too long for a regular socket. And this nut does not want to spin almost all the way to the top. You got to use that ratchet on it with the socket almost all the way to the top. I finally got it to the point where I can screw it off. Don't drop it, don't drop it! Oh, got it, got it. Whew. Now you can see the plate, how that's on there. Well, that just comes right off. You need small hands, but it does come right off. I don't have small hands. That's the problem. Oh. Okay, get it right out of there. You can see what it is. Just hold that down, so just move when you're driving. Set that aside. Alright, we've already got the negative off. Now let's get the positive off. We should easily be able to get our 10mm socket in there and get that off. Just make sure once you take them off, they don't touch each other and they don't touch any part of the car or the battery. Nothing that conducts electricity. Be very, very careful. Very careful. That's on there very easily. Look at that. Stop ratcheting on me already. Now we gotta take this off. Be really careful taking it off too. Oh, it's kind of, oh, this is trying to get back on. We don't want that to happen. Be careful. I want to tell you, I just made a mistake. I just accidentally touched this. I was trying to get these pliers to lift this up, and it touched the case, which is metal, which touches the body, so it was short-circuiting the battery. Thank God we're getting rid of this battery. Hopefully it didn't blow up, and I know it didn't. But you got to be really careful. Just pull with nothing that conducts electricity. I got to try something else. All right, let's get this plastic thing out of the... Oh, there goes the negative again, going back. Come on, negative. I need to wrap that in something that doesn't conduct electricity. I'm just trying to get this off of here so it's out of the way, so we can see better. All right, actually, we're going to try this method once again, which seemed to work well. Also, don't touch anything metal on the case. There. Okay. All right, now we're off. We are off. This is out of the way. Don't let it touch anything. All right, as you can see, I kind of just pushed it up this way. There's your negative. So we're totally disconnected now, and then we need to loosen these 13 millimeter. Whoops, see, this is starting to move again. Watch it. We need to loosen these two 13 millimeter bolts back there so that we can tilt this case forward and pull that battery out. See it in there? That's what we're going for. That one. Way back in there. If we could focus on it. Alright, I've got the socket on this one on this side. The other one's going to be harder to get it on though. Alright, now on these, once you get them moving, you can turn it by hand. See? You just got to loosen it up is all you have to do. So maybe the other one will be fairly easy, hopefully. I hope. Just don't lose these things. Don't drop them. This one goes way up. Look, that's a deep bolt. Now be careful not to drop it. All right, as soon as I push that wiring harness over, look at that. It's not going to be that bad now. Shouldn't be bad at all. Now, for whatever reason, this one's harder to get spun by hand, but at least I can keep ratcheting it with this. A lot of this is a slow process, but at least it keeps going. All right, don't make the mistake that I did, which was I ratcheted it so high it got wedged up in there. I was managed to reverse it and lower it so I can get it down. I gotta get this thing out of here and do it by hand. I have to at this point. There's not enough clearance with my little adapter that I have to use on my socket. There, okay, got it out. Now I will do it by hand. You just got in these tight areas. You got to be careful. See, I have an adapter between the socket and the ratchet, and that's causing the clearance issue. Okay, finally got it moving by hand, which is what you have to do to finish these because of clearance issues. But trust me, you got to get these off because you're gonna have an even worse clearance issue getting the battery in if you don't get this thing out first. All right, got it. Okay, so now that that's off, the theory is we can tilt this forward. We should be able to. You see it moving? Yeah, see how that moves forward? Just a little bit? That's what you need. You need to move it just a little bit to get this battery out of here. And let's undo the hose. Oh, I got some rainwater on me. Undo the hose. Unplugs right out of there. Scoot all these things aside. Make negative can hopefully tuck in over there. If negative tucks in over there, then we can pull this out. You see that? How it pulls out, and then we got to pull the battery out. I'm going to need both my hands to do all this, but you get the idea. This is the trick. This is the trick part. This is the part that a lot of other things I've seen on YouTube don't mention, but see, if we push that thing forward, look how forward it goes. It'll break the whole angle in here between that, which I wedged my ratchet into, and the battery can just pull straight out. This is the secret to getting the Model X battery out to you. The newer Model S one isn't this difficult at all. But Model X is, you gotta know the secret, that's it. See, I've got it almost all the way out now, just so you can see. I want it to stop so you can see the process of pushing the wires back. Just be gentle with them. And they'll come out and use this handle to pull it. And you shouldn't have to touch the fuse box. You shouldn't have to if you do it right. For that last little bit coming out, just kind of bend it around the side there. See how it's tilting? Because we loosened those bolts in the back. If you didn't do that, it would be darn near impossible. Almost. I just needed two hands, but I got it. See? Came out. Now let's get the new one and get it in there. Here's the new one compared with the old one. You can tell which is which. New, old. Remember, I got my car in March of 2017. All right, I'm gonna leave these on until the last second, which is nice that they're on there. Get this thing back into the box. You can really see in the video here how the box tilts out. You need this thing to tilt all the way out to get that angle so that the battery goes in. Okay, I've got it part of the way in. It's almost getting to the point where it's going to slide down in there. This positive clamp has a tendency to migrate down into there, so I had to just pull it out. I didn't even realize mine was wedged back in there. We're getting a little closer. Getting a lot closer. It's sliding. It's almost straightened out. See, I had to kind of pull this out, pull it out from the bottom while you push in from the top and angle it down. So you need 2 hands. I got to put this down. And that's exactly what happened. It just dropped in. It literally, the minute I put the camera down, I got 2 hands on it. It was almost there. It just dropped right in and zoom, right in place. That's exactly what happened. Oh, that was good. You got it in there. Now, let's not forget about this. Let's get this thing right away. Your little vent tube. Get that in the side of the battery. Gotta find the little hole. Find the little hole. Still looking for the little hole. Oh my gosh. Ah, got it. Got it in there. Sometimes it's hard to see. Now before we make any of these connections, like the positive connection up here, the negative connection down there, let's do the reverse order of removal. So let's get these bolts on, 13mm ones in the back, and then get the clamp on. And then we can make our connections after that. All that stuff is secure. There they are, the 2 bolts back in there. I'm tightening them by hand as much as I can first. Then I will get those sockets on them at the last moment. Now this one again on the right goes in by hand, no problem. Let me know if your X is like this. The one on the driver's side, you can do hand tighten, hand loosen. Passenger side, you have to use a ratchet almost the whole way. Just torque it down just a little bit, not too much. Make it snug. That's good. Apart. You gotta be careful. Don't drop your socket. So those 2 are on. Now we need that plate. That is the actual case. The back of the case is now bolted strong into the car. Now we need that plate to go down on it. All right. So the plate, what we have, goes on here, over that little thing, and oh. I mean, what the battery moves. Okay, the battery moves in and out. That actually stabilizes the battery too. There's a little bit of play in the battery, but this kind of takes all the play out of the battery in addition to clamping it down so it's not going to lift up. Remember, put that nut on there, but don't lose that nut. Be really careful. Really careful. There it is. Don't cross thread it either. Gotta be really precise with this. Alright, I'm getting some resistance now. I'm going to have to use the socket. Did I have a socket? Yeah, I had a deep socket on this one. Slow process. All right, then pop that thing on the top. Whoa. Can you see what I'm saying? There we go. Right onto the top, just like that. All right, make sure this is tight. You want to pull on this, make sure there's no play in there. There isn't. That's good. All right, let's start by making the connections. We got negative there, positive here. Undo the positive side. Tape, drywall tape they use here at Tesla, real fancy. And also use duct tape, right? Well, it gets the job done. And then bring this thing around from where we have it. And wait, actually, how does it go? Like that? Yeah, that's how it goes. This is how it goes. In the back. Don't touch anything. Don't get shocked. Don't ruin this. That one, see, it just goes right on. We got to tighten that nut down. But before we do, actually, I want to connect this one. I want to get everything connected. And then, well, actually, let's make sure this isn't going to go anywhere. Let's tighten this one down first before we do anything else. 10 millimeter. That by hand. Try not to ground yourself to the car either when you're doing this. Be really careful. Snug. You don't want to strip any of the threads out here. That's good. Now remember, once we touch this negative here, we are live, so be really careful. Let's get the Tesla duct tape off. Actually, before I forget, how much have you guys paid to have this work done? I don't know how much I would charge, how much Tesla charges. But like I said, $175 for the battery, approximately. I don't know if they're gonna give me any core money back. I gotta talk to them about that. I didn't see any sparks. But I think we're back in business there. We just have to tighten that, tap it down a little bit and tighten it. Look, I'm recycling these tape pieces onto my old battery if I can, to keep from getting killed. Make sure that's down. I think it is. Now I just need to tighten this nut. Remember, I had a hard time with this one, so I'll have to just get a wrench on it at the end. It moves freely, and just get a wrench on it at the end and tighten it down snug. As long as you're in the right spot, you should be good. So I had the needle nose pliers and tightening it down with needle nose. Try not to scrape it along there. Try to hold it steady. So you got it tight. All right, now everything should be in there solid now. And if it is, let's go in the car and make sure the 12-volt electronics work. I hope that they do before we start putting everything else back together, which is the easy part. That's good. Don't mind my mess. But yeah, it works. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Oh gosh, that's weird. Does it go back to some other settings? I never listened to classical music, at least haven't recently. It's still nice to listen to sometimes, but that's what's on now.
Protestant rebel to enjoy those. And of course, we're celebrating with the classic music.
All right, now that the functionality checks out, remember, we did all this without having to remove any of this stuff or unbolt any of this stuff. Didn't touch it. Just got to make sure there's two bolts and one nut in the back are handled properly, and that's it. Oh, almost forgot the red cover on this thing. It's got to go back. Got to play with it a little bit to get it. I'm going to have to put the phone down again, as usual. Whoa, look at that picture. And of course, again, right when I put the phone down, that dropped into place. It's all locked into place too. Perfect. There we go. Time to seal it up. Tub goes in first, bolts. Let's hit it. No, wait, it's not the tub that goes in first. It is the HEPA filter, reverse order of removal. How could I forget? Whoa! Let me make sure I don't lose any of these bolts. Do a better job than I did. Please. Alright, now these should all line up all these holes. And when they do, start putting them in by hand. Make sure you haven't lost any. I'm going to do that first. Uh-oh, I made a little mistake here. Can anyone spot it? Yeah, like that light got smashed behind here. I didn't. I wasn't watching when I did this. I got caught. So I gotta pull the whole thing back out again and fix that light so it doesn't get caught behind it. It has to be able to pull through here like this one. See? I'm gonna be able to pull them through these holes like this. They both have to be able to do that. Make sure you don't forget about that. Alright. Last one in, and I didn't lose any of them. Yeah, now I gotta use the ratchet and tighten them all down. Just snug. Don't torque them, just snug. Most of the time, most of the way, you don't even need this thing. Just don't want to kill my fingers. Yeah, there we go. Just till the very end, see? That's about enough. Do that for all of them. Alright, all the bolts are back in. Oh, let me get the, do I get the inside in now? Or actually, I think this one went in next. Yeah, these plastic pieces. And they have clips. It's gonna fit in like that. All right, now we're gonna put the inside bowl in, and I want to put these. I want to kind of just tuck these in, so that when that liner goes in, these aren't going to be sliced off or moved. See, they're tucked in there, and I can just pull them right out when the liner goes in. Got some leaves in here. Just oh, there they go. They go right back in. Oh my gosh. Oh. Uh-oh. I think I trapped a leaf in there right now. I gotta get that leaf out of there. Alright, I got the leaf. That was a big one. Let's get the lights. Lights. Where are you, lights? It's like kind of gotta pull it through. Need 2 hands for this, and the other one's over here. Hey! Alright. These just kind of fit in there somehow. I need 2 hands. You get the idea. Now I can. There we go. I got one of them in. Now I'll get the other side. I don't know what that thing is. What is that thing? Anybody know? Let me know. I'd like to need the emergency release. I think that's what that is. Emergency release. Is that right? Oh yeah, that's the emergency release in case you get trapped in there. I didn't even know it was there. Wow. Last 2 pieces are weather stripping and the top part for the fuse box cover. So you just kind of lay the weather stripping around, you just kind of work it through here, and actually maybe I shouldn't have put these side parts on, I don't even know. Yeah, I probably should not have put the side parts on yet. Let's lift those up, let's pull those back out, and then do the weather stripping, and then put the side parts back on. Alright, yeah, with these things off, it's relatively easy to position everything. Have to take those side parts off. Put them on too soon. I need 2 hands again to position all this stuff. Okay, got the weather stripping on. Let's make sure it's snug, and then get the side pieces back on, and then top piece, and then we're done. Alright, side pieces on, looks much better. And you can see now, pretty much had to do that side pieces off in order to put the weather stripping on, because there's a lip underneath. And you can definitely pull the weather stripping off like I did with the side pieces still on, the front piece still on, but you can't do it when putting them back together. And then last piece right up top. Before you put it on, make sure that this hangs out. This is like the emergency power electrical cutoff for emergency first responders. They really need to be able to see where that is. See how it kind of hangs in there? And we're done. We are done. All right, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you would have paid me to do this, and maybe you can hire me if you're close by. I'm always traveling.